Hey, what's up everybody? In this video, we're going to take a look at the first selection box for the month of October. You'll have until October the 14th, end of the day Pacific time, to get one of these 12 Tsums. And there are some pretty good Tsums in here I would recommend. And let's take a look at the 12th hour available first, and then we could talk about each one of them individually. So first we have Charm Jasmine, Pastel Ariel, Top Scarer Sulley, Sheriff Woody, Spring Miss Bunny, Forky, Carl, Flik, Cruz Ramirez, Fairy Godmother, Birthday Anna, and Sven. And then honestly, like the top 3 Tsums that you would really want from these, I guess like these 12, number 1 will be Charm Jasmine, number 2 will be Pastel Ariel, number 3 will be Top Scarer Sulley, and number 4, let's give an honorable mention to Cruz Ramirez, because Cruz Ramirez is actually pretty good as well. So I would say like those are really gonna be my top 4. I didn't list Cruz Ramirez here as the top 3 just because I wanted to keep it a top 3. So my top 3 essentially is these 3. But overall, I think like it's pretty good. I mean, 3 out of the 12 Tsums in this box is, I would say, pretty decent. And I did actually try to get a bunch more of Top Scarer Sulley, because that is a really fun Tsum to use as well. I opened a bunch more boxes hoping that I could max out Top Scarer Sulley, but unfortunately I was not able to. I am also trying to save some coins for next month, because I do want to max out some of those Tsums and show you guys what the next 2 Masquerade Tsums will look like and if they're worth investing in. So I do need to save up a little bit of coins for that, but I decided to invest a little bit into this selection box because I mean I did level up a few Tsums here. But anyways, let's take a look at each of these Tsums individually, and then you can decide for yourself if it's worth investing. So the first Tsum that we're going to take a look at is Jasmine, and this is a charm version of Jasmine, meaning that there will be 1 less Tsums on the screen. I'm currently playing with the 5-4 on and also the coin boost, so on the screen you're only going to see 3 different variations of Tsums on the screen. You could connect Jasmine or Charm Jasmine's little necklace charm along with Jasmine on the screen, so there are essentially only 3 variations of Tsums on the screen. And right now I do have Charm Jasmine at skill level 6, so she's going to automatically clear 31 Tsums. Her ability is Clear Random Tsums. So as long as you activate her ability, you're going to guarantee 31 clears on the screen. Usually you're not going to get more unless it clears a big Tsum for some reason. You'll get less if you don't have at least 31 Tsums on the screen. But what I've noticed is that even if you don't have any Tsums on the actual screen that you can visually see, typically there are some Tsums where they're like being dropped at this like invisible area at the top of the screen, and it'll clear Tsums in those areas as well. So if you pay pretty close attention where like the score is and also where the coin count is, sometimes you'll see bursts there, and that's really where some of the Tsums are being dropped, and it's getting clear there as well, because that's where some of the Tsums are. So really the strategy in using Charm Jasmine is to spam the ability as soon as the skill gets charged up, as you see here on the bottom left, before I even activate the ability, or before the ability goes into animation. It was already a third or a fourth of the way full because of all the charge that was residual from the first clear. So yeah, as long as you spam the ability, you'll require you a lot less Tsums to activate the next ability. So that's one of the strategy I would implement when using Charm Jasmine. So at the end of this gameplay, for skill level 6, Charm Jasmine, I got 4,170 coins. Really by far the best coin earner out of this whole bunch. And also Charm Jasmine is the easiest one to use out of all of these Tsums as well. You don't need to really prep for the ability, and it's very easy to charge up Charm Jasmine. And because there's a lot less Tsums on the screen, you could play really quickly with Charm Jasmine. So that's why Charm Jasmine is my number 1 Tsum out of this entire batch. Next, we have Pastel Ariel from The Little Mermaid. Pastel Ariel's ability description is she's going to clear Tsum Tsum in the shape of a circle. I currently have her at skill level 4, and the range that she's going to clear is large. And the skill range is a large, and that's in reference of the circle that it's going to actually burst. So the higher the skill level, the bigger the range of the circle is going to be. If you slow it down a little bit there, you should see about 2 rows of Tsums that are in the circle. And I'm assuming that when you get to skill level 6, that's going to be bigger. Maybe it's going to be a diameter of 3. If you have her at skill level 1, that's likely going to only be a 1 diameter. And one of the strategies to using Pastel Ariel is make sure that before you activate her ability, that you have majority of the screen full of Tsums. It's okay to have the center area kind of empty, which is kind of rare because like the circle clear is in a circular shape. You want to just make sure that that area has a lot of Tsum. If you don't have a lot of Tsums in those areas, you're going to get a smaller chain, therefore you're getting less coins. So one thing I do recommend is like if you want to play fast and you just need to keep an eye out on your charge up bar, as soon as it's getting pretty full, only clear Tsums in the center area where the circle doesn't really touch, because that circle doesn't impact your chain when you activate the ability. So go ahead and feel free to clear the center area, but definitely avoid clearing the circle area like I just did there. So at the end of this gameplay, I did end up with 2,429 coins. That's pretty good for a skill level 4 Tsum. So I'm pretty excited to try to get Pastel Ariel to a skill level 6 just to see what kind of coin earning that she's capable of. And that's why I have her in the number 2 position in terms of my top 3. I am curious to see what skill level 6 is going to be, so maybe stay tuned. I might do a follow-up video just to see how good she's going to be at skill level 6. Next, we have Top Scarer Sulley from Monsters Inc. Top Scarer Sulley's ability description is clear Tsum Tsums from the bottom of the screen. I currently have him at skill level 5 and the skill range is extra large. So as you just saw there, that is essentially the ability. What happens is when you activate the ability, Top Scarer Sulley will come out and scare a bunch of Tsums away from the screen. And at skill level 5, you're clearing a majority of the screen, starting from, I guess you could say like from top down 3 rows. All the Tsums are going to be cleared out. So check this out here. I do have a big Tsum in there as well. Majority of the Tsums got scared away. In that example there, I got a chain of 35. So pretty good. And as you could kind of see, it's really easy to charge up his ability. And for that reason, Top Scarer Sulley is in my number 3 slot. Not only is he really easy to use, it's great for beginners because there's not a lot of strategizing to it. And it's really short to charge up, so you're activating a lot of his ability. And even during his ability, when you clear Top Scarer Sulley on the screen, that counts as your count for the next ability. So it's very easy to activate his ability. Also for coin count, he's pretty good as well. So that's why I rated him in the number 3 slot. One of the strategies that you want to use when you are using Top Scarer Sulley is just to make sure that at the bottom of the screen where the ability gets cleared, you want to make sure that there is a lot of Tsums. And in a lot of situations, it's worth giving it a couple of seconds for these Tsums to settle down before you activate the ability, because you're going to get a longer chain, which means you're going to get a lot more coins. So give it a couple of seconds. If you are just like a couple of seconds away, let the Tsum settle, because that couple of seconds will be worth it. If you don't, then you're going to get a shorter chain and less coins, especially if you are going for getting a lot of coins. At the end of this gameplay for Top Scarer Sulley, I did get 2,814 coins. So really good. That's why I have him as my number 3. Next, we have Sheriff Woody from Toy Story. The ability description is clears a vertical line of Tsum Tsum, and I have Sheriff Woody at skill level 4. And the skill range here is going to be large. So Sheriff Woody is a little bit more complicated to use. You will need to use him with gyro on to maximize the ability. What happens during the animation is you're controlling RC, essentially the little RC car, and what you'll need to do is control the car. So one of the strategy to using Sheriff Woody is before you activate the ability, meaning that you tap on the ability to activate it, you want to tilt your screen to either the left or the right. I typically tilt to the right and clear a bunch of it. This is a demonstration here. If you don't tilt, see, that is our control. You get about 23 chains. And what happens is if you do activate the ability and tilt it, you're going to get a higher chain, therefore resulting in more coins. So keep a close eye on this demonstration right here. We're going to definitely see a lot more than 23. So essentially what you'll need to do is just make sure that you tilt Sheriff Woody to the right when you are activating the ability, therefore clearing a lot more. If you do it right, then you're going to get a lot more. Sometimes you mess up, which I did in a couple of these examples here, but generally if you tilt it, you're going to get in the high 20s if you have him at skill level 4. At the end of this gameplay, I did get 1,397 coins at skill level 4, so not necessarily the best coin earning in this example, but still pretty fun. I mean, it is a little bit different and it's pretty complicated to use, but I wouldn't recommend it for beginners because there's a lot of gyro you have to use and you don't get a lot of coins either, so really not worth it. Next, we have Spring Mist Bunny from the Bambi series. The ability description is magical bubbles appear at random. And I currently have Spring Mist Bunny at skill level 4, and in order for me to activate the ability, I will need to clear 16 copies of Spring Mist Bunny on the screen, and there will be 3 magic bubble that will appear. So as you can see on the screen right now that there are going to be magic bubbles, but these are not the regular magic bubbles. They are like giant size magic bubble, and they do pop surrounding Tsums exactly kind of like the regular bubbles, but in a bigger area. And these are pretty cool because then they're also ability bubbles too. Sometimes it's really nice to see just you have some really big ability bubbles. And really the strategy to using Spring Mist Bunny is just activate the ability as much as possible. There's really no major strategy to it. At the end of this gameplay for skill level 4, I got 1,135 coins. So Spring Mist Bunny is not going to be great for coins, but could be good for bubbles because you get a lot of bubbles every time you activate the ability. And as you level her up, you're going to require less and less Tsums to clear to activate the ability. And you're also going to get additional magic bubbles when you activate the ability. So if you need an ability Tsum to make magic bubble, this could be an option for you. Not necessarily the best bubble maker, but is an option if you don't have any at all right now. Next, we have Forky from Toy Story. Forky's Tsum Tsum clears themselves for a short time, and if you've watched the movie, Forky is pretty fun to use and to watch. I'm currently using Forky at skill level 5, and the ability will last for 7.2 seconds. In the movie, I don't want to spoil it. Well, at this point, I feel like if you haven't watched it, then maybe it's safe to spoil, but Forky loves to jump into the trash can in the movie, and exactly in this ability situation, it's the same thing. Forky will jump into the trash can whenever Forky becomes available on the screen. On the bottom left hand side, you'll see a little trash can, the green one. That's essentially the animation being activated. After 7.2 seconds in my case for skill level 5, everything does go back to normal. Forky will be back on the screen. So essentially for a short period of time, you just won't need to clear any Forkies on the screen. You're playing with one less variation of Tsums on the screen. But really, Forky is, besides that, it's fun. Really not that great for anything else. Forky's not great for coins, not great for abilities, and also not great for score either. It really is just for fun, and I really think that the animation is really cool. So check out, like, Forky gets really excited about the trash can and jumps right in. So that really little sad face that Forky has becomes a smile and jumps straight into the trash can. So I think besides that, yeah, Forky is really not a Tsum that you really need for this game. At the end of this gameplay, I only ended up with 402 coins. I'm also playing with a 5-1 coin boost on, so at skill level 5, that's pretty low, given that I've pretty much invested a lot of coins in Forky. So yeah, definitely not worth it. Just get him to skill level 1 and collect him, but definitely don't need for anything else. Next, we have Carl from Up. The ability description for Carl is he will clear a horizontal line of Tsum Tsum. I currently have Carl at skill level 4, and the skill range is going to be large. And Carl is one of those Tsums where it's just a horizontal line of Tsum that gets cleared, but in a way it's not a perfect horizontal. I would say it's more like a rainbow shape or an arch shape. It goes from the bottom right-ish corner to the left bottom-ish corner. It creates a little arc there. So one of the strategies to using Carl is just you want to make sure that the bottom section has a lot of Tsum, similar to top Scarer Sulley, because you want to maximize your chain for your coin earning potential. Carl is great for beginners, not a whole lot of preparation for this particular Tsum. Just activate it as soon as it's full, but yeah, give it a couple of seconds. I guess, like, don't activate it as soon as possible, but once everything settles, then activate it. The more abilities you activate for Carl, the more coins you're actually going to get. At skill level 4, I did end up with 1,740 coins, so not too bad for a skill level 4 Tsum, but still not at the level where you could use him to earn a lot of coins, because keep in mind I am using the 5-4 coin boost on, so not going to be great in that sense. Next, we have Flik from A Bug's Life, and the ability description for Flik is turns random Tsums into Prince Ada Tsums. They count as Flik. So this is one of those Tsums where once you activate the ability, a bunch of, I guess you could say, supporting Tsums become on the screen, and then you could connect them as one really long chain. So Flik is going to be great for those missions where you need to create a really long chain, but other than that, that's pretty much it. One of the strategies to using Flik is just activate the ability as soon as possible. Don't wait for anything. And this is one of those abilities where you don't need to set it up. You could try to clear a bunch of zooms on the screen and leave a bunch of Flik, but when I tested it out, that's really not the best strategy. The best strategy is essentially to just activate the ability as soon as the charge up bar is full and connect a chain that's as long as possible. The longer the chain, the more coins you're going to get. At the end of this gameplay with Flik at skill level 6, I only ended up with 1,253 coins. I do want to also throw in that I'm not necessarily the best at connecting super long chains because I don't play with the stylus. So if you are someone that could play really fast and connect really long chains, these type of zooms may work for you. Next, we have Cruz Ramirez from Cars, and the ability description is clears a diagonal line of Tsum Tsum. I'm currently playing Cruz Ramirez at skill level 6, so the skill range is going to be extra large, and I will only need 18 zooms cleared, essentially 18 copies of Cruz Ramirez to activate the ability. And one of the strategies to using Cruz Ramirez is to make sure that all the zooms on the screen are there as number 1, and then number 2, make sure there are no bubbles. So what I like to do is after the ability is activated, I quickly clear out the magic bubbles. The reason being is like the magic bubbles actually do get in the way a little bit. I mean, not a whole lot, but they count as one chain. Cruz Ramirez is one of my top 4 zooms as an honorable mention because he is actually really good for coins and very easy to use and really easy for beginners to use. If you have him at skill level 6, you're pretty much all guarantee a chain of 21 and 24. As you see here, I consistently got a chain of 21 and 24 when there are no big zooms and no magic bubbles on the screen. And the reason being is just like, it's just the entire screen gets cleared, so whatever is on your screen will get cleared. There is only 45 zooms on the screen at any given time, so you're gonna get a clear of 45 in total. The tricky part is that because that they are counted as 2, they are considered 2 different chains instead of one really big one. So you're always just going to get 21, 24, and in that ballpark range. At the end of this gameplay for Cruz Ramirez at skill level 6, I did get 2,955 coins. So that is a decent amount of coins for a skill level 6 zoom. Of course, not the best in the game, but out of these 12 zooms, Cruz Ramirez is definitely up there. I think that he is in contention for the number 3 spot, but it's hard to tell because I don't have Pastel Ariel at skill level 6, and also barely, and he is actually beating out top scorer Sulley, but I like top scorer Sulley a little bit more because he is easier to use. Next, we have Fairy Godmother from the Cinderella series, and the ability description is Cinderellas that can be connected with the Fairy Godmother appear. Cinderellas also clear surrounding Tsum Tsum. What? You know, this description is not well written, but I think we know what it kind of means. Cinderellas is going to show up and you could connect fairy godmothers with Cinderellas. That's essentially what they're trying to say. And also any Cinderellas that gets popped during the ability will also pop surrounding zooms as a added bonus. I think also the fairy godmother, if there are zooms around it as well, that should pop if you have a Cinderella chained as well. So that is the added benefit of using Fairy Godmother. I'm currently using Fairy Godmother at skill level 6, so I'll need a total of 16 copies of Fairy Godmother in order for me to activate the ability. And it will also change 10 different zooms on the screen into Cinderellas. So these are guaranteed numbers, they won't deviate. You're not going to get more or you're not going to get less. You're guaranteed 10 Cinderellas on the screen. So as I mentioned, it will clear a bunch of Cinderellas. Actually, Fairy Godmothers will also pop surrounding zooms along with Cinderella. So this is one of those zooms where you need to be able to spot really long chains. And if you're able to connect a really long chain where you're able to get all 10 of the Cinderellas, you should theoretically clear out the entire screen. But if not, really focus on clearing the Cinderellas because that will help burst a bunch of zooms off their screen. And at skill level 6, at the end of this gameplay, I did end up with 1,710 coins. Not the greatest, but you know, not too bad. There are better zooms out there. This isn't going to be one of my best ones from this top 12, so in reality, I would recommend avoiding Fairy Godmother because it is also a more complex zoom to use, not necessarily beginner friendly. Next, we have Birthday Anna from Frozen, and the ability description is Elsa that can be connected with Anna appear. Elsa also clears surrounding Tsum Tsum. And Birthday Anna, right now I am using her at skill level 6 and will change between 9 to 12 Tsums on the screen. Birthday Anna is one of the earlier Tsums that I use to really earn coins. And what happens is as you clear Birthday Annas on the screen during the ability, surrounding Tsums will be bursted as well. And also you could connect Elsa and Anna together to create a really long chain. One of the strategies to using Birthday Anna is you should always have a magic bubble handy to speed up the animation after you clear a bunch of Tsums. And I'll show you a demonstration here on the next ability on why that is, because there's typically a load time after you clear a really long chain, so you want to have a bubble handy. As you see here, I don't have a magic bubble handy and I'm waiting for this animation to play through, and I just wasted about 3 to 4 seconds. Now, if you do have a magic bubble handy like I do right now, you will see that when you activate the bubble and you do the clear, the animation kind of skips. So what you want to do is just pop that bubble after and see all the Tsums just falls down right away. So that is one of the strategy to using this type of Tsum, and actually not only applies to Birthday Anna, but to a lot of different Tsums that you have. So just keep in mind that when you pop magic bubbles, it does skip the animation where it clears the coins very slowly. At the end of this gameplay for Birthday Anna at skill level 6, I did end up with 1,772 coins. Not the best, not the worst. It's probably one of the better ones from this box, but still I would say not needed for coin earning. And finally we have Sven from Frozen, and the ability description is clears a horizontal line of Disney Tsum Tsums. I currently have Sven at skill level 6 and the skill range is going to be extra large. Sven is a very beginner friendly Tsum, very easy to use, and really it just creates a horizontal burst. Sven also has a really low charge up time, so very easy to activate his ability more times than not. So really the strategy to this is just make sure the center area has a lot of Tsums before you activate the ability. Wait a couple of seconds if you don't have Tsums in that middle area, and if you have the ability ready, you could always just clear the top area where there it's not going to impact like the burst area if you don't want to wait for the animation to play through. Now at the end of this gameplay at skill level 6, I did end up with 2,122 coins for Sven, so it's a pretty good amount of coins for a very easy Tsum to use. So given that he is a beginner friendly Tsum, yeah, you could consider getting Sven, but there are better Tsums out there to get. So for that reason, I would say hold off on getting Sven, but really focus on the top 4 if you can. And as a recap, those top 4 is going to be Cruz Ramirez, Charm Jasmine, top Scarer Sulley, and also Pastel Ariel. If you get any of those 4, it's considered good, because I mean all 4 of those are going to be good for coins, and all 4 of those are pretty beginner friendly, so I wouldn't be mad if I got any one of those. I'm still going to try to max out top Scarer Sulley, because that is one Tsum that I really do want to max out eventually, but we'll see what happens in the near future. I'm still waiting for Jedi Luke to come back. That is something that I'm excited about for those that are relatively new to the game. That is a Tsum that you definitely want. So that's pretty much it for this particular selection box. I hope that you guys found this video helpful in determining which Tsums you want to invest in or not invest in. If you would like to see more Tsum Tsum content just like this, or just want to follow along on my Tsum Tsum journey, definitely don't forget to scroll down and hit the subscribe button. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.